It says we are live. Let me see if I can remember how to do this thing. Make sure you remember to take an opportunity to smash that like button. If you're watching over on the X side, be sure to repost this, get some more eyes on today's live stream. We are live streaming on YouTube, on Rumble, and on X. Links are down below for everything we're going to be talking about today. I am joined by Joe from Dragonchain. They currently have an open case against the SEC. The SEC has granted them a 90-day stay. There is an open letter. We're going to be talking about that and much more on today's show.
Rice TVX, the mic's live wire. American Pitbull, real gold buyer. Sound money advocate, vice defender. In the crypto arena, he's the top contender. From the gritty streets of the digital age, Rice lays wisdom, chapter and page. Silver, gold, he scores only the bold. Land, life, and liberty, these values hold.
Twitter, what's my phone? See me, the stands, evergreen at the sun.
Constitution, deep dive, knowledge revival. Navigate the system, critical for survival. Rice engraved like inscriptions on metal. Pitbull in the game, lead foot on the pedal. Land acquirer, a strategic mind. In the fight for freedom, he's frontline. Educate on rights, the law he'll explain. Chris Rice, the Pitbull, breaking the chain.
I'm gonna go on Twitter. To you, that man can stay.
In the arena where truths collide, Rice TVX, the certified guide. Silver and gold, land and rights. American Pitbull in the freedom fights. In a world of chaos, he's the calm in the storm. Teaching the masses, ready to inform. Keys to crypto, rights we cherish. His wisdom lights paths that others perish. Guardian of wealth, from digital to ancient. His legacy crafted, fearless and patient.
Man, look at this. The very first live stream of 2025, and I still know how to do it. It's just like riding a bike. We are about to go into today's conversation. I got something I really want to share with you really quick. We got the Las Vegas Blockchain Week coming up. Bitcoin 2025, Litecoin Summit 2025, and XRP Las Vegas, all happening at the end of May. Check out the information on Bitcoin 2025 right here. Join me and many others at Bitcoin 2025 in Las Vegas at the Venetian on May 27th through 29th. You can get 10% off your passes using promo code RICE at checkout. The Bitcoin conference is the largest gathering of Bitcoiners in the U.S. I've attended the past 4 years. It never disappoints and it only gets better. Check out their website linked in the video description for more information, featured speakers, agenda, and hotel bundles. Get your passes before the price increases. Use promo code RICE at checkout to save 10% off your passes, and it's a way to support Rice TVX. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Again, I'm joined by Joe from Dragonchain. I'm going to be bringing him on in just a moment. We are live streaming on YouTube, on Rumble, and on the X. If you're watching over on the X side, please repost. Wherever you're watching, give a thumbs up, share this video out because we need to help save crypto. Any project that is being threatened that needs help, we need to come to their aid. Helping a project like Dragonchain, and I interviewed Jeremy Kauffman from Library when they were dealing with their SEC case. Helping these projects is helping the crypto space in its entirety. So we need to come together. We need to save crypto. We need to stand with Dragonchain. Look at this, man. I did it. I'm on screen. I made everything work. I did remember how to do this. And with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and bring in our guest of honor. Joining me today, Mr. Joe from Dragonchain. I wanted to pronounce your last name, but I wasn't sure if it was how to say it. So,
it's Roets, Roots, or Dragon.
I was thinking Roets, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah. But you can say Joe Dragon too.
With the E being before the T, it was like I didn't know if it was like some French. It was like some Roets.
I think it's Dutch or somewhere around there. Dutch, Belgian, something, right?
Well, I want to let everybody know I'm going to have links down below for everything that we talk about on today's show. This is a conversation that's very long overdue. Satoshi Sean had told me about Dragonchain, what happened with the SEC, and I know he gets involved with your, if I'm saying it right, the World Blockchain Roundtables.
Right.
Okay. And then I know Litecoin Lisa's involved as well, Lisa Davis, and she speaks very highly of the project. I am good friend of the channel. He works obviously with you guys, but he's always spoken very highly. He tried to get me involved with den.social, which I want to let people know this particular live stream. What I wanted this to be was kind of a little get to know who Joe is, because I think it's good to personalize what we're dealing with, as he is the founder, creator of Dragonchain, and kind of learn about what Dragonchain is, and then get into what happened with the SEC. And also to be talking about this open letter that is linked down below in the video description. I will be putting it in the pinned comment after the live stream, and I will be throwing it up inside of the live chat as well, so people can go ahead and support the project and sign that open letter. But without further ado, do you mind taking an opportunity, my friend? I know we've talked a little bit privately, but I really don't know much about you. Without giving us... Don't give us the long version per se. I know you have like an extensive background. Know a little bit. Just kind of get you to fill in the blanks. If you can kind of introduce yourself for me and the audience, it'd be greatly appreciated.
Cool. I'm a long time software developer and software architect, and I focused on a lot of big projects in the day. One of my guys brought in Satoshi's white paper to our team in 2010 to take a look. It's just something we did with new tech, and that got me involved very early. We started, really, as we did with any technology, we started trying to build anything we could, mostly to learn how the tech works, where it can break and things like that. Came up with an architecture to, at least at the time, was focused, or I guess with a goal of solving things like scalability, usability, things like that for this technology, and did a lot of work for some open source things, some libraries for Coinbase in the early days, things like that, and ended up finding a place to try to put into place a lot of what we had learned at Disney, or what we had learned to apply it at Disney. And at Disney in 2014, we started building a platform. It was fully operational. We convinced Disney to release it in 2016, and then we launched commercial 2017, and we've been dealing with the SEC ever since. So that's kind of the, relatively short, I guess.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's good. I mean, you could definitely went into more detail. I didn't want you to have to summarize this so shortly. I watched a little bit of this documentary, probably like 3/4 of Sound Money, I believe.
Open source money.
Right. And I learned something very interesting about some few interesting things. You used to work for the FBI.
Yeah, I was a contractor. I was never an employee, but yeah, I worked for Lockheed at the FBI and for DOD, and then later Army Intel.
It's kind of a similar to McAfee, because he was a contractor as well.
Right. Yep.
Also, two other interesting facts. You used to play in a metal band. What did you play?
Guitar.
Okay.
I was a guitarist.
I sang in metal bands. Okay. Yeah. Had some label interests and stuff. I have links on my website to some of my music.
Nice.
So
excellent.
Yeah. The other thing, which I found to be intriguing, but by the way you look now currently, it makes complete sense, is that you are a frequent visitor of Sasquatch country.
Yes. Yes.
Are you hunting for the Sasquatch, or have you already possibly made contact and you're just visiting friends?
Yeah, are you talking about some of the scenes? They took us out into the woods quite a few times because up in Washington there's so much
You actually
scenery.
said that I think it was word for word. I'm visiting because I think you need it like to get away from things and just kind of like just detox from everything that's going on. And you
Yeah,
were visiting Sasquatch country to do so.
yeah. You know how that
I
is.
didn't know if you're like a Bigfooter. I didn't know.
No, yeah, that who knows? I don't know any of these things, but yeah, they. How do you say this? I originally spoke to them about making a more of a sitcom where we could build in various things and make it funny, and it turned into as the directors and everything else, and it turned into much more of a what would you say um, I mean, docudrama a little bit, but also kind of a real world type thing. And so some of the stuff in there was kind of like, oh, okay, I'll do whatever, right? But
It was like a documentary show,
yeah,
or like a reality show in slight
yeah,
documentary form.
yeah, exactly.
Which, yeah, I kind of got your wife was very amusing too, because I think she said a few things and she was like trying not to upset you. I know
Yeah.
it's old. It's old. So I mean,
It's pretty old.
I don't expect you to necessarily remember. I was just doing some searches to try to find some things, and
Yeah,
and that
and
came. Oh,
that all
actually, no,
happened.
I had found that from. It might have been this particular post.
Okay.
Yes, it was. Watch this documentary, and the reason
Oh yeah.
the reason I'm bringing this post up is because I want to shout out this particular user at Jason's. I'm thinking is how it's pronounced.
Yeah, Jason. Yeah, he's
Jason,
awesome.
and this is I ganked his artwork here for the thumbnail that we're
Nice.
using today. So I just figured I would shout him out since I maybe possibly took some of his intellectual property and stamped a few extra things on it. So thank you, Jason. Appreciate you.
Yes, he's involved in a few projects with us. In fact, he's been he's been hanging, I guess, in the community for a long time and been a very valued member. So good stuff.
Well, awesome, man. Thank you for taking the time to do this and introducing yourself. Do you mind talking to us, because I've been involved in crypto since Q2 of 2017, and I want to say somewhere in the fall time period, I feel like I heard of Dragonchain, but it could have been 2018. But I think I saw it. I used to use Poloniex and Bittrex, and I think that it was available on exchanges like that when like Redcoin and Neo, and back in the middle old days, the dark ages.
That was a time. That was a really great time to get started in crypto. Wasn't it? I mean, you couldn't really
thrown in a deep into the pool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the ICO craze, and then I was like coming in, and I guess like right at the beginning of the big push towards the bull market, which climaxed in December of 2017 when Bitcoin blew its load and Charlie sold his bags.
Yes. Man,
yeah, blockchain, Bitcoin Cash, the fork with Bitcoin. Yeah, there was so much that happened in that time period. So yeah, it was definitely a good time to learn. Do you mind sharing with everybody who might be unfamiliar with what exactly Dragonchain is? I know you guys have kind of, I don't know if it's a community doing this, but America's blockchain. I want to know about America's blockchain. I want to know what makes the fire breathe here.
Yes, sure. So when we first came out and announced what Dragonchain was in 2016, we had already gotten a little bit of free press just because Disney had posted things like wanting to hire a blockchain intern and various things like that. So there was a lot of press all over the world about it, and we weren't allowed to say anything. Right. I mean, we couldn't make a press release. We couldn't do anything else. So people were just speculating on what Disney was doing. We built it out again from the architecture that I brought in from work prior to Disney in order to essentially solve a lot of the problems of scalability, with economic scalability, with things like throughput speed, simple things like that, but also some of the more abstract things like the usability. And so we built this architecture out, and it was a very early form. The implementation was nowhere near as good as it is now, but we built that at Disney. We either designed or built something like 20 to 30 projects inside of Disney. Many of them were publicly announced on the W3C standard site. And because of that, we were doing things that nobody else was doing. And, groups from IBM, from some of the banks, Microsoft were all members of that same W3C group. And they were asking how were we accomplishing this, because they were having trouble doing anything similar because of the skill gap for doing a decentralized coding and blockchain coding. So we convinced Disney to let us open source it. We went through, it's all public now, but went through an entire workflow where we had to get a pretty insane amount of approvals from around the entire company. But when we released it, it was very unique. It was built from scratch. It wasn't a fork of any other chain. And we, essentially started building stuff. And we went for an entire year just being open source, just to get feedback, just to figure out what should be built. And, and some of the things, the key pieces that we have, I guess, introduced were things like the time system, which is essentially kind of like staking, but where you don't have to give up your keys. You don't have to put your tokens in a smart contract or anything else. You literally just have to prove that you still own them. And things like interchain, we were the first interoperable hybrid blockchain that, we even at Disney, we had a Bitcoin node running, and we essentially put all of our proof verifications on Bitcoin so that you could measure the amount of security that had been applied at any given point in the future on that particular transaction. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that we've done, particularly around behavior, that we got a really good hint of it while we were at Disney. But the way to explain that to people that haven't heard me all the time talk about this is that essentially, if you take the viewpoint that Bitcoin isn't just cash or whatever it is now, because it's maybe no longer considered cash by many, that Bitcoin proved something as more powerful than software alone, in that essentially it's kind of software as a self-driving force, where with Bitcoin, there wasn't someone going and giving TED Talks or giving press conferences or, up on stage with a turtleneck introducing new products. Bitcoin went out and the software declared, here is what you get if you do these things. And it led to, within just a few years, it led to Bitcoin becoming the greatest compute concern on Earth, to the point where, if aliens landed, they would have to ask, what is this Bitcoin network for that you guys care so much about? And that's an amazing thing for software by itself to do. And, yes, it was people doing it, but the software was the director. The software was the thing that defined the rewards and the activities, the behaviors. And at Disney in the early days, the general hint was that we wanted, or we as humans should be trying to find a more scalable way to use this technology, and a more usable way, so that it wouldn't be restricted to just the technophiles. That if it's more scalable, more flexible, more usable, then you can apply it to any endeavor. So if your organization has certain goals, you could use this technology as what I call behavior technology. And a different way to explain it is as humane AI, that it is a form of artificial intelligence, but it is not directed in the same way that a lot of us think of AI in these days with a GPT or any of the AI world that is exploding. That this technology can essentially, in a very humane way, get voluntary behavior from any set of humans that want to take part. And theoretically, you can even have software agents involved as well. But the beauty is, you can use prediction markets, you can use bounties, but the key piece is that all of that behavior, even the smallest piece of it, needs to be on chain. You can't just put the final result on chain, because then the final result could be false BS if you don't know that all of the things that led to the final result are also provably there. So that's kind of what Dragonchain is, and you can integrate it with any existing system, including, and I think more important than integration with other blockchains, is that we took a very philosophical approach at the beginning, that our goal is to make this technology available, pluggable, interoperable with existing traditional systems. Your existing payroll system, your existing databases, whatever you need to use this with, and that has. I still believe that is the key. When we start seeing killer apps on blockchain, that they are more likely to be integrations of external blockchains and traditional systems, even old systems.
No, that's a good explanation. I know the project too is also, complicated. It's not just a simple project as far as what is entailed with everything as far as the technology. And when I was meeting with you and IAM said something that made so much sense. So in crypto, we have layer ones, which are like Bitcoin and Ethereum, Solana. That would be a layer one blockchain. Then you have layer twos, which would be the ones that kind of support those blockchains in different ways. So like on Ethereum, you have like Polygon Matic, and pretty much that's the deal. You have stacks for Bitcoin. That's a layer two as well. So you can look at it in that aspect. The way that IAM explained overall, just simply, is this is more of a layer zero type project that overlays on top of other things. And that's kind of what, in a sense, I think that you would just kind of explaining.
Right. Yeah. We in the early days, it was the nomenclature wasn't there. The layer terminology really wasn't used anywhere. We, in fact, to explain in our architecture, we had to, call our various points of verification levels, like we call them level 1 through 5, where level 1 is your business blockchain that could very well be private, and level 5 is all the way up to Bitcoin or Ethereum or Neo or whatever else we would plug into back in the day. And so I'm whenever the layer terminology is brought up, I'm it's like, well, yeah, I mean, I'm not someone who, you have to be careful not to get stuck into some of the nomenclature too much, because it will
attach itself. Yeah. You're kind of boxing yourself in. You're limiting, in a sense, what you're. It makes sense.
It's good to understand things for sure, but yeah.
No, and that makes complete sense. That's why I like it's as an analogy. I don't try to define God, because if I do, I'm limiting what God is.
This is a good point. Language is interesting. All right. So
yeah, very, very interesting. So, okay. So fast forward, the main reason I wanted to bring you on is, I want to bring attention to projects that I feel are being unjustly having some legal issues with entities like the SEC. And you guys have an open case with the SEC. I believe the information went public in 2022, but I think they started the investigation back in 2018.
Right.
Did you guys, because from what I understand with this is, prior to the SEC serving you, they'll serve you with what I understand is what's called a Wells notice.
Mm-hmm.
Were you guys served a Wells notice in advance?
In 2018, no. In 2018, we got a letter, and I don't know what the official term for that letter is, but apparently, if you want to know why the markets crashed in 2018, look no further. I think nearly every known project got those letters back then, and and you think about it, any of the projects that were funded by VCs or traditional money, right? The regular banking system and how it works in Northern California, right? That all of those VCs caught wind of it. And obviously, what are they going to do? They're only there for the money. They're going to pull all their money out, knowing everyone else is going to pull their money out. So the whole thing crashed, right? We got the Wells notice in 2022. They actually, I won't remember the dates without looking, but they told our attorneys at the time prior that, well, they had all of these questions about compensation, and we were compensating a handful of contractors with Dragons, and they were all under contract. Everyone who was compensated with Dragons had a real purpose to want Dragons. They were all involved in projects that independently that were building things on Dragonchain. And so, we told them, well, these are all contracted. We can't, we don't want, to end any of these contracts. And yet, if that's an issue and it would get your offer back, we would, trim those down and, phase those out. Right. And so we promised to do that. And we did do that over time. And it wasn't, by the way, massive amounts of Dragons going out for that. But it was funny because they told our attorney, okay, well, we had done this for over a year at this time. And they said, if you continue to do this, we don't think anything's going to be brought, and, it's just going to go away. Right. It's just going to fade away. And, as it turns out, they waited until, I think, the very last week. It might have been the last few days before the statute of limitations ran out. And they came in and, they told us, okay, we're going to push this up for a vote to basically go forward to trial. Right. And they did this last minute. And of course, you can imagine my surprise. I was, pretty upset with that. And in fact, we didn't even have an attorney anymore at the time. I had phased the attorney out because, okay, we don't need to be paying, high dollar on any of that anymore. And we went forward. We put out, you can see it online, as published, the 2022 response to the SEC that includes high level vision. It includes, our history. It includes many of the points of innovation to date, and the patents. And then it includes a bunch of legal arguments that are, they were written by an engineer, but they are, legal arguments. And we put that out, and they still voted to go to trial. And so we've been dealing with it since then. And, we've gone back and forth on potential settlements, but especially with the changes coming, we were, it's like, no, we're going to win anyway. We might as well just go forward and go to trial and, spend a little bit of extra money and end this well.
I think in a lot of cases, the SEC was going after smaller entities or entities that could potentially be a threat that didn't have the funding so that they would capitulate.
Yep.
Which is what happened to people, unfortunately, that's what happened with Reggie Middleton. He had basically was found guilty and can't confirm or deny based off of like an NDA or something like that. Yep. Then you had, I remember EOS with their year-long ICO, and then they paid like $4 million, which I think was like 1% of what they had raised.
Yes, I don't even know.
Effect. I could be bad on the numbers of that, but yeah, they paid the fine. So I guess they were safe when it came to the idea of what would be considered a security at the time. I think Stacks had went through the proper protocol through the SEC. They didn't get fined, so they're not a security. I don't think it's but they registered through the SEC directly. Library again was another case where they didn't have the funding. I believe there was some funding, but it was a rough situation for a decentralized project that didn't necessarily raise that much money. And, one thing that I've said this to a couple different people. I don't think I've said it yet in any sort of like interview, but it's my opinion that once Donald Trump decided to release a meme token, not a meme coin, because you guys need to understand the verbiage and meaning of a difference between a coin and a token for one. Once Trump released this meme token 3 days before taking office as the president of the United States of America, in my opinion, the SEC would be hypocritical to continue any particular case that's open unless it actually dealt with harm and true fraud, like a Ponzi scheme, because there's lots of MLM Ponzi schemes and things to that effect. So in my opinion, the SEC should drop all open cases that they have in the cryptocurrency environment, because otherwise it's hypocritical to allow for this two-tiered system to exist, because the incoming president who launches a meme token 3 days before he takes office is the one who selects the head of the SEC, who would be the enforcement that would be going after him. So it's a little bit of a conflict of interest, people.
Yeah. I mean,
I just want to share that, man, because
I think you can even go further, and I mean, you can say that if you had you had an SEC commissioner who we all know now had essentially been bribed to make up a new wrinkle in the Howey test to give Ethereum a pass, and that was one of the odd things too. The Dragon is literally launched on Ethereum. If Ethereum is decentralized enough for them to have escaped any further inspection, we should have been let go as well. And
So it launched as an ERC-20, and then you converted the token over to the main blockchain once it was complete?
Nope, it remains hybrid. The token is still on Ethereum, and Dragonchain itself, we have a I guess you would call it a bridge, but it's essentially a way for you to deposit your dragons from Ethereum onto the console network, the Dragonchain net. And from there, you can, if you're a business, launch transactions. If you want to run verification blockchains, then in order to be, to get rewards for fees, you can launch it there as well. So it goes back and forth. We have the ability to expand it to other chains, but we haven't needed to. And, the extra resources, it didn't make a lot of sense, but
would this all be, would this kind of like what you just mentioned in the case with the SEC, how he tests Ethereum and such, and what's going on with you guys, was that part of what I believe has been within the community that encompasses Dragonchain? People have talked about ETHgate.
Yeah. And I love Ethereum too, right? So I'm not, there's nothing against Ethereum, but it needs to be a level playing field. It needs to be the same justice system.
I mean, Ethereum, I think is I mean, it's obvious. So many enterprises are involved. The largest conglomerate with the Ethereum Enterprise Alliance, BlackRock, Trump's World Financial, whatever it's called. They're all accumulating a lot of Ethereum, and it wouldn't surprise me. And I've heard a lot of people talking about this, like in a sense, like a Wall Street takeover of Ethereum.
Yeah,
which I think has already happened. But I'm not trying to put you in this conversation. I'm just sharing what Rice thinks.
Oh yeah, no,
I'm not trying to get you in trouble. I don't mind getting in trouble. I like trouble.
And same thing. As long as we're honest, it doesn't matter to me. It's how do you see this? I think any blockchain or blockchain project that seeks what's the term they used to say?
Like a legal term,
institutional adoption.
Okay.
Right? Now, if you're being adopted inside of a corporation, I'm all for it, especially if it's for actual utility, right? If you are trying to plug your token into the banking system so that you can have an ETF, I'm against that stuff. So that you can make usury new on blockchain. That's not my world. That's not what I want to see. I want to make the world better. I don't want to extend the old banking world and make it more efficient. Right? That's not what we're here for. That's not what the technology is best for, in my opinion. Now, you could do whatever you want with it, but I think it's really wrong-headed, and I think it's bad for the industry. And you can look at Bitcoin. If all you cared about was the price, which most of those people are focused on price, I think it has been proven to be a bad direction. That Bitcoin, even in this latest run, it still has not done what it should have done. And it's instead of increasing features, adding privacy features, making it more scalable, they went a different route. And it's I don't know, it's kind of bad. Yes, exactly. And reading that book, it's it's like, I had forgotten so many things from back then that are it's really sad to think back, because there was some some bit of what was going on there that was obvious to me as an engineer. This is wrong. But at the same time, I was still new to the politics behind a lot of what was going on. I was used to being an engineer inside of an organization and using technology to meet goals, whereas this was an entirely different thing. It's a public network. There's tons of toxic drama all over the place. There were a lot of things that were new to me that we were still learning a lot. And when you look back, you're like, yeah, I mean, we were right about that. And then other things, it's like, man, I wish I would have had the insight to understand that that's what was going on at the time. It's kind of weird.
It's a dirty game. I mean, I think it's been the waters have been muddy for quite some time. In a multitude of ways. I understand a lot of the Maxi point of view. I don't agree with it. I think it's very toxic, but I do understand a lot of it. Okay, so let's fast forward, because you have that case. You guys, they started investigating 2018. You get served 2022. Let me pull this back up so I can have it all ready. Okay, because I have all this stuff screen shared so I could be as professional as possible here. All right, so here's the SEC information, and all this is linked down below. So the litigation release was August 16th, 2022. Fast forward to right meow. Today is the 7th of February, and you guys have been granted a stay. Can you, one, when did the stay get granted, and can you explain when, and was it under Gensler, and can you explain what a stay is for people that don't understand the complicated magical language of legalese?
Right. And even more than just the legalese is the federal court process that I'm still new to. That they have these things that you can do, but only at certain times, and they have to go through the judge. And we've asked in the past, for example, with the SEC, we've asked for extensions prior to any of this to maybe figure out a settlement, right? And several times, the judge said, no, we need to get on with this. It's taking too long. And this time, we came in, the how do I say, the date we had was, we had a date in late December, right before Christmas, and they extended it just so we could get together. And we were talking to Deaton about bringing him on board too. And they gave us a month. And the last one, I believe, was I believe it was granted on Friday. Might have been, it was within the past week or so. And essentially, we asked for 90 days. The SEC did not oppose it, and the judge did grant it. And we ask for the 90 days because, there have been public statements from the incoming chairman of the SEC appointed by Trump. There's been statements by various members of the Trump administration that they're going to review all of the SEC, and I believe they said non-fraud cases, which we are a non-fraud case. But either way, they were going to review them all. We brought that in. It seems reasonable that we need to give them time to review rather than going forward and spending a bunch of money and wasting time that they might very well just drop the case. So it was granted, and we have until sometime in April. And I believe the next step is still just in April, if nothing happens before then, that we would bring in, here's the schedule of things for the trial, which is, the motions. And I don't know what the period is called, but it's essentially where we can file a motion for summary judgment and some other types of things to request dismissal.
Those are some of John Deaton's specialties, right?
Right.
And I definitely want to talk to you about Deaton. I've been trying to reach out to him, get him on the show for an interview. So if you're talking to him, you can connect me. That'd be super great.
Right on.
I respect what Deaton is doing.
He's a legend.
No, he is. So a stay is basically a pause, right?
Right.
Okay. And did you say that the SEC didn't want to grant, but the court did?
No, the SEC did not oppose the request.
Did not oppose. So they were cool with it. And that was under Gensler still?
That was after Gensler left. So it would have been under the acting chair. So
was it after? Because from what I think,
Gensler
stepped down the 20th of January?
19th or 20th, yeah.
So this just all happened like within the past month or the past few weeks.
Right.
The stay.
Right.
Okay. So let's see here. I've got this tweet dropped in a live comment right here so people can check it out. I have the actual document where you guys can go and sign the open letter. Let me go ahead and get back to my banners here and click over here so you guys can sign the Dragonchain case open letter. That's linked in the video description, the pinned comment after the live stream. It's in the live chat, but this is basically what it's in reference to. And let me see if I can pull up the text message from Mr. I Am, because he was texting me last night and said something important. He said lots of important things, but let me see here.
He's great.
It was talking about this AI that was created or programmed to basically facilitate in the sending the letters all out. Because if you sign this properly, it will go to Donald J. Trump. It'll go to the Department of Government Efficiency. It'll go to David Sachs. David Sachs is a crypto AI czar. Elon Musk, who is a non-paid government employee with probably one of the highest levels of clearance, security clearance that I'm aware of. Acting SEC Chairman Mark T. Ueda, Commissioner Hester Pierce, and Congressional Blockchain Caucus complete the following form. And you complete this and it'll send to all of those people, correct?
This stores it for us. When we collect them all, they'll be all sent at that time.
Okay.
This is essentially to get people to sign it so we can show support. And the AI tool will essentially, what we did is we trained it up on a pretty deep knowledge base. Every Dragonchain published article about various capabilities, technical things, all of the patents, all of the historical details, all of the published letters to the SEC, and anything like that where it describes what the technology does, describes use cases. And so essentially you can go in there and you can, it's in the form of a Roman centurion, right? And the AI's name is Lucius Probator Aeternus. And he will essentially help you write a tweet, a letter to your congressperson, an article, a treatise, a war pamphlet. It can write any of these forms of communication, and you can tell it you're interested in, I want to write to this person about this technology or industry application of Dragonchain, and it will put together a really well-formed and deep, knowledgeable, engaging content for you to give to whoever you want to give it to. And some of the reasons we did it is because it's hard to keep a lot of that info in your head, and this will help the community be much more accurate, for one thing, and engaging. And you can even tell it to tone it down and say, hey, make this at a grade school level so I can give it to people who aren't technical, right? And it works really well. It's pretty amazing. And it it gives you a few actions at the end. You can send this to any of these people. It gives you a link if you're in the US that will make it easy to email your representatives in Congress. And it also gives you the details on what you need to submit it to the new crypto task force at the SEC, where you essentially, if you write that letter and you send it to, I think it's crypto@sec.gov. And then I think the subject is, don't quote me on this, but it tells you at the end of whatever article, you put a particular subject in. And if you do that, the SEC will publish your paper on the government website. And so, our goal is to get as many people as possible to put legitimate information in that form, so that when someone goes to the sec.gov website to show, hey, here are all of the things that people have submitted for input, that Dragonchain will be very well represented there. Not only will it be good content, but there'll be a lot of it, and it'll all be unique, right? And it'll all be valuable, and it'll all be accurate. So that's kind of one of the big things. And frankly, with this stay, all of this is, in my mind at least, I'm entirely focused on what the team is calling the case campaigns, which is, the stay gave us 90 days. And our main goal is to raise awareness. If we can get, if we can get a retweet from Elon Musk, if we can get something in there that makes it, a lot of people won't be interested in something so technical, but there's a tremendous number of people, even, talking about Deaton and his network, that all of these people care about this industry and how it's moving forward, right? And if we can raise awareness enough that people see what we are and they see what we've done, the case will go away. They'll be, they will drop it. I mean, it's crazy for anybody who understands the technology that they have ever come after us, because everything we've done has been above board, transparent. They have every email that we've ever sent. They have every intercompany telegram message that's ever been sent. And, they found nothing that we did wrong. They just don't understand what our technology is and just think that, therefore, it has to be a security. It's crazy. So
it is. No, it's absolutely crazy. I mean, if I didn't think there was a reason to bring you on and talk about this and bring attention to it, I wouldn't. We wouldn't be here having this conversation, Joe.
Right.
Joe Roets. So yeah, man, you got my support, obviously, and I encourage every single person that's watching this, check out this information, read the open letter, read the information that's available. It's very detailed, and I encourage every single person that's watching this to sign the Dragonchain case open letter. Show your support, because this is for crypto. It's not just for a specific project.
Yes.
As much as I'm not a fan of centralized company of Ripple, I was still being supportive of XRP in their case against the SEC, because ultimately when those cases are decided and a verdict is rendered, there's the case law, you have precedent set, and it sets stage for them to be able to go after other projects in those same manners, because they already kind of have it wrapped up from the one case. So
yeah.
We got to stop these precedents from being set. Again, I think it's hypocritical for the fact that The SEC is continuing to have open cases. I think it's great that they did offer the stay and granted it, both from the SEC and the court side, because that definitely shows that they are considering re-looking at these things. Because again, I think some of the cases that were brought, I think, were completely unjust. And it's not cool. And if you're not part of the club, you're going to get screwed over like many other individuals. Now, I do want to let people know that the idea of this conversation was, again, to kind of get to know Joe, understand what Dragonchain is, and bring attention to this SEC case in the open letter. I do want to have Joe on for future conversations, and I've been invited, but I re-invited myself to the World Blockchain Roundtables. That so I may be coming on there. You guys do it on Thursdays at what time?
Thursdays at let's see here, 11 o'clock Eastern.
Okay, so I will let you guys know. I will let you know, Joe, for sure about this coming Thursday, which will be a week from yesterday. But if people are already subscribed to the Dragonchain YouTube channel, you can find those videos there. As a matter of fact, I do have a link down below in the video description for the Dragonchain YouTube channel, so you guys can make sure you go over there and subscribe. If you're not already subscribed and check out those videos, you'll see I am in some of those roundtables, Satoshi Sean, like Coin Lisa, and many, many others. So,
and it should be noted that is the first, and it might be the only DAO podcast. That the entire thing is controlled by the community. It's every episode generates new ownership tokens for the show. And every month we essentially lay out proposals and choose what the shows will be in the coming month. So, you'd be free, by the way, to, pick and choose. Like, oh, I'm really interested in that topic. I'm not going to be on this week because I don't really care about that thing. Right.
Very cool. Very cool, man. Well, and I'll keep the community updated and, post information to promote on my social media. Before we wrap things up, Joe, do you have anything that you wanted to mention that we didn't talk about?
Man, upcoming projects, like say there's a pretty major one that's unannounced yet, but people should watch out for. And we're starting to at least bring some of the information out to gauge interest and agreement on a potential adoption focused change to Den.social, which is the proof of concept social media platform that we created with some very interesting mechanics. It's be the first implementation of behavior technology, or what I would call the reference implementation. So watch for that. There's some pretty amazing stuff that we're thinking about there. And then Dracaria, which we are in the testing phase right now. And Dracaria is, it's a little bit hard to explain very quickly, but we are using blockchain entropy in very unique ways. So instead of using random number generators to decide, hey, here is an item that needs to be unique, we literally use hashes from Ethereum and Bitcoin. And the first implementation is that you spawn a dragon egg, and the dragon egg has an unpredictable hatch time. No one knows when it will hatch. In fact, in testing, we've had some that last for years before they hatch, but most of them will hatch very quickly. And when it hatches, it uses multiple blocks from Ethereum and multiple blocks in the past and future from Bitcoin. When I say in the future, that makes it totally unpredictable. It uses those blocks and the hashes from them as entropy to essentially establish your dragon's genome. And it's a radical, there's never going to be two dragons that are the same. And the genome dictates a full 3D model with all of the physical features, including the colors and the eye color and the type of dragon and all the rest of this stuff. So they're going to be very interesting collectibles on a native chain. And the project itself is, the vision is that this is a gaming platform, or a platform where even traditional gaming studios could use an API to get access to these very intense features that are only possible with blockchain. And so this, it's super, super exciting because nothing like this has ever been done. You would have no idea when you buy that egg, or when you spawn the egg, what's going to come out of it. And I don't know, it's a really fun project. And
That sounds cool.
It has an algorithmic supply and an algorithmic pricing that is also very experimental, first time ever. But it's going to be so fun to see it roll out, because essentially the algorithm follows what the public wants. If it's a slow cycle, then the algorithm won't produce as many eggs the next cycle, and it basically controls it. And the price, the essential limit is by price, that when they become too expensive, people will stop spawning them. So okay, the only way another egg will be spawned is if someone wants to spend 120 grand or something. And that's why it's interesting, because we're not limiting by purely a number. We don't know how many will be created, but we know at some point they won't be created anymore.
That's interesting. No, and that's kind of what I want to do with these future conversations, is dig into elements of things that we talked about privately, when it's available, when it's ready to talk about publicly, kind of get an idea of what's going, what Den.social is, because I am said it pretty well, as it is the proof of concept and showing how Dragonchain can scale where other blockchains aren't. So and I'd like to dig into that a little bit more. I mean, I was definitely invited to come on and join Den.social very, very early on. And I told you guys when I met with you guys privately that I'm just so burnt out on all these blockchain based social media platforms.
Yep. Oh yeah.
I like what you guys are doing. And after talking with you, it changed my perspective on things. So I definitely want to learn more. And I think it'd be great for my audience to check that stuff out as well. So
excellent.
I appreciate, man. Any final thoughts that you want to add in regards to the open letter or anything else?
No, I mean, if you can sign it, I mean, it's the only required field is your name. We do ask location, just so if we have metrics, if you want to put in your state or something, it's helpful. Industry, things like that. But yeah, if you could sign it, that's helpful. If you can share it, that's helpful. If you can click on the link to open up the AI tool, Lucius, and write an article and send it to friends and family, we'd appreciate it. I always say I'm eternally grateful to anybody who helps us out in these ways, because I know it's not everybody wants to do extra things, especially for somebody they don't know or something. But this, I do believe, is important to the world, and not just because it's Dragonchain. It's just if we can get freed out of this, it will set a precedent, like you said, and it will let us build more freely. We've had so many constraints for these 7 years that we've just not been able to do what we should have been able to do. And it's set us back. But no matter what, if we lose, we win. If we were to settle, we would win. And if we win, obviously we're going to win, because it's all going to be put behind us, and we're going to be able to do what we're here to do, which isn't talk to lawyers all day. Right. So,
well, again, I mean, I think if you care about crypto and you care about the future of this industry, period, especially here in the United States, don't allow this precedent to be set. Make your voice heard and sign that open letter. I would encourage that. So links will be down below in the video description. I put it in the live chat, and as soon as the live stream is done, I'll put it in the pinned comment for everybody. Joe, I'll be in touch. I want to ride out today's video. I got to run some errands. I have another video I have to do in a couple hours. So cool. I will catch up with you. I wish you a great weekend.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
No, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for joining.
Bye.
All right, brother. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for tuning in. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. I mean, it's February 7th, and this is the very first live stream I've done this year. So I was actually sick, and then I was dealing with some personal situations. I have a kitten that I have adopted, and she got spayed. We had some technical difficulties during the healing process. She had to go back and ended up with staples in her stomach. and 15 days of recovery, and definitely takes more attention. This cat takes more attention than a child takes, which is crazy. So I do apologize for the delay, but from this moment forward, I am back. I'm going to be creating videos on both of my YouTube channels. And in case you don't know about the other channel, that is Rice Against the Grain. That is a non-crypto side where we go down the rabbit holes of all things stranger than fiction. Links are down below for both those channels on YouTube. You can find all the content on one channel on Rumble, Odyssey, and BitChute. Links are down below. And you can also join the private side of my website where I have early access videos, exclusive videos, and an archive of the Stranger Than Fiction videos on the private side at ricetvx.com. So before we ride out, again, I encourage you to check out the Bitcoin 2025 conference. I'm going to be talking more about it, more about Vegas Blockchain Week, because we have the Bitcoin 2025 conference. We have Litecoin Summit 2025 and XRP Las Vegas taking place between the 27th and 31st, I believe. There may be other conferences happening, and if enough of my community shows up, I may do a meetup or a gathering. So let me know if you're going to be attending. You can save 10% off your passes. Prices will keep going up, so buy your pass before the price increases. Use promo code RICE. Check out this little promo, and then we're riding out. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Make sure you're subscribed. If you're watching on X, those reposts help. And as always, I encourage you to be a blessing to others. Treat people how you want to be treated. Be the glitch you want to see in this matrix. Be the change you want to see in this world. Know yourself. Question everything. And until next time, join me and many others at Bitcoin 2025 in Las Vegas at the Venetian on May 27th through 29th. You can get 10% off your passes using promo code RICE at checkout. The Bitcoin conference is the largest gathering of Bitcoiners in the U.S. I've attended the past 4 years. It never disappoints, and it only gets better. Check out their website, linked in the video description, for more information, featured speakers, agenda, and hotel bundles. Get your passes before the price increases. Use promo code RICE at checkout to save 10% off your passes, and it's a way to support Rice TVX.
Rice TVX, the mic's live wire. American Pitbull, real gold buyer. Sound money advocate, Rice defender. In the crypto arena, he's the top contender. From the gritty streets of the digital age, Rice lays wisdom, chapter and page. Silver, gold, he stores only the bold. Land, life, and liberty, these values hold.
Look, Michael Crumrine, the blood of my blood. Screw you.
Constitution, deep dive, knowledge revival. Navigate the system, critical for survival. Rice engraved like inscriptions on metal. Pitbull in the game, lead foot on the pedal. Land acquirer, a strategic mind. In the fight for freedom, he's frontline. Educator on rights, the law he'll explain. Chris Rice, the Pitbull, breaking the chain.
I'm gonna go to you. That man from state.
In the arena where truths collide, Rice TVX, the certified guide. Silver and gold, land and rights. American Pitbull in the freedom fights. In a world of chaos, he's the calm in the storm. Teaching the masses, ready to inform. Keys to crypto, rights we cherish. His wisdom lights paths that others perish. Guardian of wealth, from digital to ancient. His legacy crafted, fearless and patient.
And yes, this clip coming up is real. In reality, it actually happened.